different environment, obviously from youth team games that obviously still mean things, but they go into full professionals that are paying. They need to pay mortgages, need to pay bills, and so every Saturday, the win bonus, the position in the league, it all counts. So there was loads of stuff to grow up with, which I did, and I had good people around me. As in the lads at Brentford were really good. So that loan spell, in particular, at that age of 18, was massive for me. And then went back to Arsenal, and you can imagine, as you said there, the list who I did in front of me alone: Patrick Vieira, Manu Petit, Gilberto Silva, and Edu. So there was 4 World Cup winners in centre midfield alone. So the chances of getting in that team was obviously very slim. So again, had to go out on loan again and drop down one step on the ladder to come back up. So yeah, I mean our youth team at Arsenal again was so productive. Most youth teams, you probably get 1 or 2 that would make a career. And that goes across the board. Out of my Arsenal youth team, every single one of us went on to be a professional football player. Everyone. So, which is phenomenal, really, stats. But the biggest change for me was obviously going out on loan, and then the 2 loan spells. I had one at Brentford, which was really good, and then I went the season after. I went to Brighton, and I scored 5 goals in 11 games. And in them 11 games, I played against Reading, and Reading put the bid into Arsenal, and Arsenal accepted it. So, and then obviously I started at Reading, and then that was my career. Then that just obviously went on a high.
Wow, quality, absolutely quality. And Lloydie, I know we were speaking the other night after you got off the Zoom call the other night. Lloydie was saying that there was a bit of a mishap when you came to Brentford for the first time. But you can share.
Yeah, so when obviously back in the day, City's first game was an away game, and we used to always meet outside the stadium with a big club bus, like so a big nice bus with kitchen, everything in it, and all the players would obviously meet up and go on a bus. But City obviously coming his first ever experience as a full-time professional, he thought, let me get there early and just make sure I'm there on time and don't miss out. So he's got there. But that same day, the youth team actually had a game, and so the youth team back in the day had a little minibus. So City jumped on the minibus, thinking that was a first team bus going to the game. And I think they said, mate, I think the gaffer, I think it was Bob Book or someone said, I think you're on the wrong bus, mate. So obviously he had to get off the bus and then come onto the big boys bus. And then like I said, ever since then he ain't looked back.
Quality.
True story. True story.
True story as well. Wow. Okay. Now that's quality. That's a quality story, and I'm sure the boys can sort of look up to that as well, because they're in that age group now, Steve and Lloydie, that it's kind of the next step for them will be professional football. Over here, it's a little bit different, as we spoke about the other night, but a lot of these boys are wanting to train with the first team. Some boys are national team players on this call. Some boys have got huge aspirations to play overseas, play in the A-League. So that type of thing where you're stepping out of the youth team comfort zone, I guess you could put it, and into men's football, as you said, it's a whole different world. And I'm sure Lloydie knows as well that it wasn't the Premier League every week of what you see now. It's, almost the dogfight every week in the Championship and League One, League Two, which sort of grounds you as a player. So would you say that helped you massively, was taking that step down to play with, boys like Lloydie, bigger, stronger lads, being only 18 and playing first team football?
Yeah, definitely. The biggest thing with me, and even when go back to Arsenal, when I was a youth team player and then having to go and train, obviously when I got to obviously pass my youth team and sign professional forms, I signed pro forms at Arsenal, and I was training with the first team. The most important thing or biggest advice someone gave to me earlier on was your first impression counts. So when I went over to the first team, although I was probably shitting myself really as a youngster going in and being along with all these names, as you said, and nervous, which is just obviously a natural thing. Your first impression is the biggest impression. So when you go over there and you do well or you don't do so well, then obviously that's going to last with the manager, first of all, and obviously the players. So they used to kind of drip feed you in and out. So you go over one day, then you might not go over for a week or 2 days, but when you go back over to your own youth team and your training or the reserves, and then the first team need a player, they go, do you know what, go and get City, because when he come over last time, you can rely on him. So first impressions is definitely a big thing. But yeah, going down or going out on loan and playing adult football, sort of men's football as early as possible to get experience of that is huge. And I say that to everyone now. Everyone, don't try and stay in a comfort zone where, you know, you're playing well, you're not really getting tested. You know, go out and test yourself and feel comfortable in being uncomfortable. Take yourself out of a comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. And you would agree with that, Lloydie? Obviously, you came through a different sort of upbringing.
Yeah, my obviously I came through a different way. I came through sort of a non-league path. So you could say, I mean, the equivalent of what the boys sort of played. I mean, yeah, the equivalent of what the boys play now, like the MPLs 1s and 2s and 3s, just training 2 nights a week. And then luckily for myself, I was playing at 17, I was 18, I was playing in the conference, which again, is back in them days, 25 years ago, it was a tough competition. I scored 4 goals in my debut, and that sort of put everyone's eyebrows up, said, oh, he's just young boys, you just scored 4 goals. And then from there, the big clubs started coming in, having a knocking on the doors, they wanted to see me, but that didn't happen to another year after. So mine was a different way. I didn't have that sort of, I had that YTS, I didn't have that sort of the same upbringing that Stephen had, but I was at Crystal Palace from 14 to 16, and then I missed out on going to the next level. So I had to go sort of, like you say, drop down 3 or 4 levels to just get experience, and then playing men's football though when I was 16, 17 in the conference. And again, I believe it put me in good stead to the way my career ended up in the end. Yeah,
quality. And what was your first impressions on a young 18-year-old Steve Sidwell when he first walked in? I know you said.
Oh mate, like I said, he was sitting on the bus, and obviously I had I think my cousin Joe Cafor was at Arsenal. He must have messaged me and said, "Oh Lloyd, I've got one of our young boys coming through. He's gonna be signing for you guys." He goes, "I'll just make sure you look after him." So obviously when I see young City on the bus, I said, "Oh, you're little City, yeah?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "I don't want you to be looked after." And to be fair, every single player took City under his arm, and you know what I mean, we looked after him. But as soon as you saw him on the pitch, mate, his first game, it was just like, this kid's got something special. And I think he'll even testimony to this. I've told him from day dot, I always told him that he'll grace the promised land. And he didn't disappoint in that at all from day dot. When I saw him on the game, into training, you just saw the quality that he possessed. And we were lucky, like I said, to get him as a player to come and help us to try and get promotion to the Championship then.
But Lloydie, do you remember my debut was against Bury at home, and we won 5-1, but I played awful. I remember it was like a Tuesday night game, and there's me saying to the boys, like, obviously first impression's the best one like to give. So I'm going to a new team. My first game, 1-5-1, yeah, but I didn't play well at all. I didn't feel like I played well. So I was like, shit, I need to play well. And the next game, I have to play well. I need to show these that, well, I've come here for a reason. I think it was Reading. We played Reading at Medeski. And then
2-0. We beat 2-1, didn't we?
Yeah, it was 2-1. It was 2-1. And I played well. So, you know, you don't get many opportunities or chances in life, not let alone in football, but you got to make sure if one passes you by, then you got to grab the next one, or if you get another chance, you got to grab the next one, because football's obviously a brutal industry, and you won't get many opportunities and chances to try and stake a claim.
Yeah, quality. I have to say, in terms of the change room and you as a person, or both of you, I know Lloyd is a massive character, and he's liked every change room he goes to. And how big of a thing do you think that is to sort of integrate into a team as being a good person first and foremost, and then your football sort of takes over from there, you know? Yeah,
I mean, look, to obviously be a football player, you need to be half decent in terms of technically. You've got to be at a certain level to make the grade. But for me, and the only reason why I made it was because I had the discipline, the character, the determination that got me to where I needed to be. Like if I was up against even at Arsenal or whatever club I went to, if I respected every teammate in the dressing room. But if one midfield player was playing better, I'll be like, it's brilliant for the team, but I'll be like, right, I need to play better than him because he's going to nick my shirt at the end of the day. So I need to. That competition was always driving me on. And I think that's at the moment, obviously with me coaching under 16s, I think that's just missing a little bit in certain academies or in certain society where I don't see enough sort of kids battling out against each other saying, right, I'm going to get to the first team before you. Or if you get there before me, then I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be the next one out of the next group to get there as well. So.
Yeah. Fantastic. What I might do, lads, that's brilliant. Thanks for that, Steve and Lloydie. What I might do is maybe flick over to one of the boys to ask a question, which you might have already answered. But first, I'll go to Adrian Segacic, and he's the first one to send me the question. So, Sega, if you want to unmute yourself and you can ask it to Steve and Lloydie, because I don't want to be the one just talking the whole time. I think you boys can get interactive in this as well. So. Sega, if you're there, if you unmute yourself and you can ask the question to the boys if you remember.
Yeah.
How are you, Segs? You good?
Good, thanks. How are you, Lloyd and Steve?
How you doing, mate? Hey.
My question was, in this time at home, what would the most important thing to work on would be? Strength, technical, or staying fit and keeping healthy?
Answer that, Cindy?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult times at the moment. I mean, we're doing a lot of Zoom classes with, again, my under-16s at Brighton, and it's difficult because 9 times out of 10 you can draw on experiences. But as Lloyd will say, and how to say, we've never done this before. This is new to everyone. So there's no experiences that we can draw on. But I think the biggest thing is just to keep discipline. Discipline is massive, and keep a routine. Just keep a routine in your day. Obviously work on technical stuff because you still want to have the ball at your feet, you know, whether that's walking around your house just with a ball, just shifting it around, or whether, because obviously everyone's got different spaces. Some people have got backyards, some people have got gardens, some people might live in an apartment where they can't get out. So just use the space that you've got to the best of your ability. In technical terms, just always have a ball with you. And then when you go out and you can exercise, I don't know what the sort of current climate is in Oz, where if you're allowed to get out. I mean, in the UK here, we're allowed to get out and exercise once a day.
Yeah, we're allowed to get out here as much as we want. So.
Oh, really? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, obviously keep your fitness levels high. That's the most important thing, because we don't know when this is going to be over. I mean, it could be next week, it could be 2 months, could be 3 months. We don't know. But as soon as that button says, listen, we're good to go back to normal, then you need to be at a level where you're going to go straight back in. So, obviously, technically, keep the messages going from your feet to your brain with the ball. And obviously keep your fitness levels as high as possible, so when you go back, you're in good shape.
Yep, thanks for that.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Good, Sega. I think we got Antonio's up next. And I think if you ask this one to Lloydie, it'd be a cracking answer for this one, Lloydie. I think you know what's coming.
That's Antonio, where was he?
Ask the right one.
Here, hello.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you going?
Good.
I was wondering, what kind of pre-game rituals do you do before a game to get yourself in the zone? Is it
That's what I do. Oh, mate, it's a good man. No, to be fair, look, that's a great question. Great question, pal. I was a player who was very focused prior to a game. I'm talking to the extent where, even for example, even if I played, even though City's one of my closest friends in football, for example, if I was playing against him, at the beginning of the game at the tunnel, I wouldn't even talk to him.
Yeah.
I would just literally, all the boys used to know that Lloyd would be trying to say hi, Lloyd, in the tunnel. I would just be focused. But prior to that, I used to get a wall. After the manager would say his talk, I would get a wall and I would just bang myself against the wall, go pace, power, strength.
Yeah.
I just used to literally just bang a wall, just going pace, power, because I felt like that was a defender against me. I say no one could touch me in the game, so I used to do that and just literally have that focus and say no one could touch me. I'm too strong, I'm too hard, I'm too quick, I'm too fast. And every game prior to that, I was always doing it. And like I said, I would go in the tunnel, and then I just would not even acknowledge any of my closest friends who are outside of football. I wouldn't even acknowledge them. But obviously, as soon as the game goes and finish, I would say, yep, happy days, and have a little drink with them after. But prior to that, mate, I was just tunnel visioned. No one could get into my zone. I was just too mentally focused. Yeah. Too mentally focused.
Everyone's different though, aren't they? I was pretty similar. I had to be like in a sort of a level or a zone where I had to keep concentrating on the game like beforehand. Whereas I look at other players and they'd be dead relaxed. Some would just be reading a magazine, some would be on their iPad, some would just be listening to music. So just do whatever works for you. You know, if you feel like you don't want to be uptight or you don't want to be really too much heavily involved in the game before it kicks off, then just chill out. Some people were just literally, you know, having a massage, just listening to music or having a laugh on the massage beds, and then when it come to it, they was ready for the game. So just do whatever works for you. Just try and find a routine. You're still like, listen, at your age now, all you boys, you're still young. You're still like young pups at the game. So you're finding your way, learning experiences. Just find out what works for you, and then just go with that way.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Woody, no worries. Woody, what about your other one that you have?
My puking up.
Oh yeah. All right, I'll say that as well. So during massive games, there's obviously people out there that are obviously booing at you. I want the worst for you because I don't want you to succeed or anything. Like during this situation, what do you do to cope with it?
So I said that again, Age?
So during like big games, there's obviously a lot of supporters and a lot of people that are booing either at you or at your team or whatever. So like during this situation, what do you do to keep focused and keep on the game?
Yeah, again, I guess it's the individual. Like Sidney said, you got to do things that you're in control of. You can't control what fans and the outsiders want to do. So if people want to boo you and everything, but for me, you know what my best answer used to be, mate? I used to just score a goal and just tell them, there you go, happy days. Yeah. And like I said, that was one of my. I had that quite a few times in my career. You know, opposing fans and even players would try and get into my head, but being a striker, I just go score a goal and happy days, go away, do my business. I'm happy.